Treehouse, where we talk with business owners every week about what their treehouse was, what their dreams are, what their challenges are, and just have good, authentic conversations. Glad that you're with us. I am Coach Connor, Mike Connor, here in North Georgia, and having a privilege to talk with a good friend of mine, Jason Bair, today. Before we get into that, I do want to mention our sponsors of the show. Action Coach, of course, company that I have here where I'm coaching with business owners like Jason and others to help them to grow their business, scale their business, make more money, get more freedom, have more fun with business. And it's a lot of fun to be able to work with folks. The other sponsor of our show, of course, is Fist Bump. Fist Bump is a great tool that helps me to do my LinkedIn marketing. They help individuals to really become the knowledgeable person in their field on LinkedIn, so that when you make a connection, that person already knows who you are. They feel comfortable with you. You've gone through that know, like, and trust, and they have just been an absolutely awesome partner with us, with this show, with all the people behind the scenes. I want to put a special plug out that Fist Bump is doing a workshop tomorrow in Alpharetta, live in Alpharetta. If you don't know who your ideal client is, they are doing a workshop to help you to work through that. I'll be there as well in learning for myself so that I get fine-tuned. And if you are interested in being a part of that, go to fistbump.com and get all the details, or put a comment in the show today, and we'll get you the details for that live workshop tomorrow. So, all that aside, I want to welcome Jason to the show today. Jason Bair, owner of Blue Sky Systems.
Yes, sir.
Here in Cumming, Georgia. And so, Jason, standard question I ask everyone who comes on the show: when you were 5, 6, 7 years, early teens, whatever, what was your treehouse and where was it, and what did you do?
Good question. I've always been one of them people that every time I turn around, if there's wood and nails and a hammer, I'm building.
Okay.
So as a young kid, but we all of our friends, everybody was running the neighborhood and stuff at that age. It was a different time.
Yeah.
So kids could run. I can remember times being 5, 6 miles away from home by myself at 5 and 6 years old. Just walking the streets.
Yeah.
But at that time, I remember specifically I had a friend who had a huge tree in the back, and it already had a platform there, but we just kept building on it.
Yeah. And where was that?
In Texas.
In Texas.
Yeah.
Okay.
We were in the southeast, very corner. Like, you literally go over the river bridge and you're in Louisiana.
Okay.
Okay. It's Port Arthur.
Yeah.
So
I was going to say, we were just out in Dallas a couple of weeks ago, and there aren't a ton of trees out in Dallas.
No, it's pretty prairie flatland out there.
Yeah.
But you get down closer to the coast and stuff. You get bigger trees.
You get more moisture and all with the Mississippi Delta.
Yeah, we were right on the Gulf Coast too. Mm-hmm. So I'm talking, it's literally that corner of it.
Yeah.
So
very cool.
But that was in that time. I grew up mainly though in South Florida.
Okay.
So I was watching Kyle's, when he started talking about the mangroves and stuff, I'm like, that's where we were.
Yeah.
We were in the mangroves, with BB guns shooting at each other.
Yeah.
So, they didn't have this airsoft and stuff at that time. So.
It's amazing, how many of us grew up and had BB guns, and just that was playing cowboys and Indians and those sorts of things way back in the day.
In my early teens too, I raced BMX.
Okay.
And stuff. So it was real large down there.
Yeah.
We had treks in almost every city.
Yeah.
So, but that we were on our bikes all the time.
Yeah.
Luckily the best shape of my life.
Oh yeah.
Because you didn't have a car.
Yeah.
You weren't old enough for that.
And they weren't motorized. You pedaled them.
Yeah. But down there we would honestly on a Saturday morning, we leave out about 7 a.m. and we'd be down at Fort Lauderdale Beach and ride down to Hollywood Beach and come back home and not get back till 7, 8 o'clock that night. So
Yeah. I used to bike when I was in Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a lot easier to bike in Florida than it is up here.
Yeah. Well, it's flat.
Yeah.
You don't have all these hills.
I could go out and I could ride for 25 miles in a day and not really, I mean, it was a good workout, but
not like
25 miles up here.
No, I'd be lucky to make it around the corner anymore.
Yeah,
so.
it's the same here.
Yeah.
So you moved from Southeast Texas to Florida.
Yeah. My dad jumped around a lot with work. He's an electrician.
Okay.
So you kind of in those time periods, he was working on the oil rigs and in Gulfport down there, and times change and work changes, and at that point you got to go where there was openings. People were heading to South Florida, so he went down there and then pulled us behind.
Yeah.
But that's where we ended up spending. I was down there 25 years.
Okay.
So
was that like around Hurricane Andrew and
I was I was there. I was actually at that point I was 19, 20 years old at the time, but I was working for an electrical contractor at the time.
Yeah.
Because my dad was an electrician, I early on went to work for the same company as him after school and then transitioned into that. And I've always been very, had that engineering mindset.
Yeah.
So, I caught onto it real quick. So I was on my own in a service truck, even at that age, doing troubleshooting and service calls. And, basically they had also put me into apprenticeship school, which was 4 years, which I went through. But with that, when Andrew hit, that was a mess.
Oh,
yeah, because that was the first one that really hit Broward County.
Yeah.
And it stopped at about West Palm.
Yeah.
But Broward got the wind. So a lot of trees down, taking out electrical lines. They were pulling, at that point, being an electrician, it was pulling the electrical services off the walls. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we were going up. The inspectors didn't even do inspections really at that time. In order, they would come by after. Yeah. We had gotten it back up and gotten them power back on. But you just had to be careful and make sure you followed code. And, but they were very lenient in that time period. But it was a mess. Yeah, that was a real mess. It was just you don't. The family I was my girlfriend's family at the time. Her dad worked for FP&L. And he was on the storm crews. He was a storm crew liaison. Yeah. So these crews that came in, he would ride with one, to get them through and make sure they were safe. Yeah. And he was able to get us down into South Dade. Yeah. Literally 4 or 5 foot transmission line poles. Yeah. Were just, it looks like they exploded and the rebar sticking out. They were, a lot of the lines would have tags on them to identify them. Yeah. They were finding those 5 and 10 miles away from where they were supposed to be. So it was bad. Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't just the hurricane. It was the tornadoes and everything else that came. They showed a picture of it in the newspaper, and it showed the hurricane with tornadoes all the way around it. Yeah. It looked like a buzzsaw coming through. Yeah. So it was bad. It just, very memorable. Yeah. That devastation and everything. Well, and that's what led me up here was, in that 2005 time period where 5 hurricanes hit South Florida. Yeah, 2004. Was it? Yeah. 2004. Yeah, because 2005 is when I moved up. But actually, Charlie was the first. Charlie was the first, and then Francis and Irene, and then Wilma, I think that was in there. Yeah. Wilma's where Wilma was going on when we were up here looking for property. Okay. When we went back, we were out of power for 2 weeks. Yeah. We were out of power. Yeah. But at that time, I was actually a project manager for a Comcast contractor, and that contractor actually was responsible for doing the cleanup from the storm just in Broward County. Yeah. And with that, we actually billed from, it was October 20th or something like that till the end of the year. We billed $1.5 million in labor. Wow. Just for cleanup. And it was per location you got paid. Yeah. So it was piecework. Yeah. But we had like 175 technicians come in from out of state and stuff to help. And that year was really bad because I lived in Tampa at the time. Yeah. Right. And we were all going up. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we were afraid that Charlie was going to go in, and then it went in down to Port Charlotte, and then we thought,
we dodged a bullet.
Yeah.
And then a week later, Francis comes right across.
Yeah.
And, I was living down in Seminole Heights, and, I was like, yeah, I'll be okay here at my house. And lo and behold, we get real bad storms. And then all of a sudden, it just got calm.
Oh yeah, that's the scary part.
Yeah.
Because
And this
what's coming
this
back.
was a storm that came across
Yeah.
the state, right?
Yeah.
And so usually the eye is dead by the time it would get.
Yeah.
That one held together.
Yeah.
So that the eye went straight over.
People who haven't lived through those
Yeah.
things are they it's a
Yeah.
you get, I don't want to say you get a mindset at that point whenever they're coming, and
Yeah.
you just get prepared for them, and you buckle down and hold down the best that you can.
Yeah. Yeah.
Most of the time you get through it. But other than that, but that was where those 5 came through. And when Wilma's up there and it came back, because in the Florida realty laws, you can't put a house up for sale like a week before a hurricane,
Oh,
or
really?
I think it was 2 weeks
Yeah.
after the hurricane,
Yeah.
for to make sure everything's okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Not during it, you can't up and
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
So as soon as that day would hit, the house went up.
Yeah.
Time
Time to go.
yeah.
Time to go. Yeah.
We'd already made our mind up that this is where we were going to come.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but it was the best move I ever made in my life.
We
so.
love being up here.
Yeah.
We love being up here. And, occasionally we'll get parts of those storms blowing up through
Yeah.
here, and we get it, but, it's not the same as down there.
No, no.
So,
These are little momentary. Those are days.
yeah.
Hurricanes go for, you'd be, even the hurricane coming at you, you're 2-3 days
Yeah.
of
Yeah. Yeah.
out of it.
Yeah. The last one that we went through, I think it was Michael,
Mhm.
and that one was pretty bad, but the eye went about 10 miles east of us.
Mhm.
So we were on the good side of the storm.
Yeah.
But we
If you
still
wanna
had
say
100
good
mile
side.
an hour winds.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
and it was like, this was
Yeah.
fun, but never lost power. Thank God.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so you mentioned you were an electrician. When did you become an electrician?
When did I become one? I think I always was one.
When were you technically? When were you technically?
My dad had me. I remember it. He was, like I said, I always had that engineering mindset.
Uh-huh.
So he explained to me how to wire a 3-way switch
Yeah.
when I was 4 and 5 years old.
Okay.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
every time his friends would come over, he's like, get him a piece of paper. He's like, draw it out for him.
Yeah,
Show him
yeah.
how to do it.
Yeah,
And I'd sit there and draw it out,
Wow.
So I've always had that analytical
Mine. Yeah.
mind,
Yeah.
for that, which later in my later years, almost gets photographic.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I see
just
it
by
and I'm
nature.
reading it or whatever,
Yeah.
but it just,
Yeah.
the brain is a muscle.
Yeah.
So as
It's kind of that learning steps. I don't know if we've talked about it in coaching yet or not, but where, when you start, you don't know what you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start to learn what you don't know.
Right.
And then you know what you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get to this, unconscious
Right.
doing, where it's
Right.
just like you're going through the it's just this second nature.
And
right?
now that, being in business or whatever, but now that all that information is
there.
back there, it's just there. It's,
Yeah,
and it comes forward when it needs to come forward.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
awesome. But you were a teenager and you started working and all
Yeah,
that.
I would ride my bike. It was probably about 5 miles from my high school to their office.
Uh-huh.
And I'd ride after school. I'd work 1 or 2 hours
Yeah.
in their warehouse, just straighten things out. And then on my days off and weekends, or on days where we were off school and they were working, then I got to go work in the field with them. And but I'd already been doing it. And then as soon as I graduated from high school, I had the option of either going to the Art Institute of Fort Lauderdale, or because I was heavy into art, or going to through the apprenticeship program, which was paid for. Art Institute was at that time was $16,000, and when you're not really making money, you get $16,000. It was a lot. So I'm like, my dad was like, if anything, do this, do the electrical. You have it in your background. You don't necessarily have to carry forward with it, but you can't ever get rid of knowledge. So, or you'll have a trade if you ever have to fall back. So with that though, it's brought me to where we're doing today.
So you became a master electrician, or
license? I never did get my license there for that. I moved So when you're younger, you know, I was always in that transient lifestyle. Yeah, I was all in the same area down there, but that Hollywood, Davie, Pembroke Pines area, Broward County. But we'd move around a bit. So I jumped from job to job, and then I started, believe it or not, working at a gas station as an attendant. Okay, but it was old school. Okay, so you're out scrubbing the pads, you're working in the garage and stuff, and I did that for quite a few years because, you know, it was good money, you know, at that time. And then I would do electrical as a side job, you know, at that point during the day. So I was working 2-3 jobs. You know, just I wouldn't do anything else. So.
You just made me had a flashback. And younger people, our kids, have no idea what this is. A full service gasless station.
Oh yeah, no, we were full service.
Yeah. And younger kids, you know, kids who are 25 and under, have probably no idea what a full service, you know, or what a self service, you know, is. I mean,
you know, because even that one was, it was an Amoco station. It was old school, so even the people knew they would have to wait a little bit in between me servicing the pumps and the store. I was managing the store and the convenience store and the pumps and out there plugging tires or changing tires. You know, it was you know, just who I was at that time.
So you came up here, you started doing electrical work up here.
Well, what the crazy part about that was, while I was working there was a guy that owned a computer store in the shopping center next door. Okay. And after when he closed or whatever, he'd come in and get gas. Well, I was sitting there talking. I got to talking to him for a while, and me and my friends started getting into. They were helping me build my own computer at the time, and I'd have it up on the counter, doing my thing, and he'd come in and see it, and then I started talking, and you know, it wasn't much longer after that where I went to work for him.
Really?
You know, full time. Right when my oldest daughter was born. You know, I went in, and that night he actually offered me a management position in a store. So I spent the next 30 days from 6 a.m. till 11 p.m. at his store. Luckily his business, we'd get 20, 30, 40 computers a day in that place. It was right when computers were kind of really taking off, and people didn't know how to fix them, you know, and so was software, but it let me, because of my analytical mind, it let me soak in all of those. I was already used to with electrical, the troubleshooting processes and things. So it let me soak all those issues in and just build up on it. And so with the computers
side of it,
electrical. You know, then I started getting, I just entrepreneurial mindset. I ended up opening up my own computer company. You know, after that, we were doing wholesale. And I met up with another guy that was involved in that, and we did pretty good. You know, made a living, moved it, and then it just transitioned into me having my own store. And then from there, I ended up grouping in with another company doing wholesale computer parts. So we were big. You know, we started the first year I started with them was 2020 in July of 2020. And then we ended, they did about 120,000 up to that point, but I'd already been doing wholesale with all these local companies. So I pulled them in. We ended that year at 3.4 million.
Wow.
Okay. The next year we moved into a bigger spot.
In 2020? Wow.
So in 2021, we moved in a bigger spot and we did 8.4 million. Okay. And then the year after that, it went down, but the actual amount, because the cost of computer parts
that was here or down in Florida?
That was in Florida.
2020 or 2000?
2000.
I'm sorry, 2000. I was like, 2020, that was only 5 years ago during COVID.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It was 2000.
Okay.
2000.
Yeah.
So 2001 is when, because that was when the whole 2000 bug.
Y2K and all that. Yeah.
Well, people didn't realize, though, that the computers that were going to be affected by that, they did come out with boards and stuff that would fix it, but the computers that were going to be affected by it were already too old. So the newer boards and stuff all had the 4-digit instead of the 2-digit that they were having with. But you know, that was a whole time. Like I said, it's just,
that was a crazy time.
But it was exciting. I love so as that transitioned, I ended up leaving there about 2003, 2004. Okay.
And 3 million back then was big money.
Yeah, especially in 6 months.
Yeah.
You think about that. the people were ready to bring the product in. They just had to have the source to sell.
Yeah.
And I just came in with that attitude of, we're doing this.
Yeah.
We just started doing I was doing the computer shows at the Market Pro computer shows they had down there
Yeah.
every weekend in a different city.
Okay.
Then you do sales there. And with them, I was bringing a 24-foot box truck full. I had 12 pallets of stuff in it.
Yeah.
We'd leave with a half a pallet.
Yeah.
So it was exciting,
Yeah.
for the sale. And then because it got me used to that. But towards the end of that, we concentrated more on the internal sales of the company. And, that's where I started building the ability to talk to manufacturers, I learned the fact. So most people in business, you got to understand that 90% of your sales is your purchasing. Okay. If you can purchase it at a halfway decent price, then you can sell it at a better price and do better sales because you're lower than everybody else.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or you've got that product ahead of everybody else.
Yeah.
So I learned that real quick through that process.
Yeah.
But they, I remember at that point is when I started learning how to deal with manufacturers and breaking the deals down, because we used to end up, as a small distributor, we're doing a lot, but as a small distributor comparatively, I had direct relationships with some of the major manufacturers where we were buying straight from them. Where everybody else had to go through distribution.
So what was that like? In 2000 when you started your first business?
Scary.
Yeah.
Initially, because I'm like, okay, I got a family. How am I going to do this or whatever?
Yeah.
But you have to be. I feel like most success comes from being in the right place at the right time. Okay, and with that introduction I had at the computer store with that owner, we had a supplier come in who had like a Snap-on tool style truck for computer accessories. Okay, so that he had already had the contacts for all these stores and owners, but they wouldn't sell computer hardware. They were only selling the accessories, the cables, the keyboards, the mice, all these little computer cases, stuff like this. So he had people asking him all the time for that. So we filled that niche. We're like, okay, I got that. And then he called. So me and him went into partners, and we had the other guy too for a short time, but it ended up just being him and I, and we grew off of that.
You find what the customers want and sell it to them.
And have a passion for it. If you got to love it, or you're not going to have the drive it takes to push it. You got to believe in it. So at that time, that was my passion. That was what I believed. I enjoyed it very much. It entitled me to be at the forefront of all of that. So I got the capability to have it all.
So did you sell that business or?
I closed it. It was, because the industry goes down, it goes up, things get old, situations happen. And I got an opportunity to go to work for that Comcast contractor, taking over their southeast Miami situation. So they had Coral Gables, North Miami Beach, that whole strip down through there. Our office was in Hialeah. So they asked me to come in and manage that project for them. So that was an experience.
A big project,
But he had 35 techs initially. The first week I let like 8 of them go. Because I told him, I'm like, me coming into this, I'm like, okay, no problem. Do not tell them who I am. And I want at least a week there to see what's going on. And because they were telling me they got all these problems, and I'm like, okay, I was like, I'm just backing up, and once I see it all, I had to come in and clean house, and it's not that you want to do that, but there's times where you got to back up and release the losses in order to build on the positives and move forward. And I brought my own people in that I knew through the industries to help me support that process. But we took it from, they were losing $20,000 to $30,000 a month out of that product to $100 a month. Once we looked at the numbers and everything. So they were very happy. They're still losing a little bit, but they weren't.
Hey, $100 a month is you could probably, I mean, I'm sure they'd like to be making money, but
they had other projects that they all over the East Coast. Their biggest one was Virginia Beach. but so they had funding behind things, but they were trying to build it here.
Yeah.
It wasn't until we got once Wilma hit, then it pulled us. We were already getting ready to take over the Broward County area, and with that, it immediately transitioned us there because the Miami office got destroyed.
Yeah,
like the hard lines coming out of the building were in piles on the ground. Okay, so they were out of commission. There was I want to say it took them a month and a half, 2 months just to get back up operational.
Yeah.
So
was that the start of your transition from, kind of the more electrical into low voltage?
Yep. That's where it hit when the computer stores, and then I hit with the cable, and with the electrical background, it kind of just transitioned.
Yeah.
And then through the Wilma thing, even working for them, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
So we started looking. We had equity in our home and things like that. So I was going to use that to transition. We had no family up here or anything. We just looked for where's the next place
where's heaven, and
we were actually looking at Savannah or Atlanta.
Yeah.
Okay, but once I started really looking, Savannah wasn't. It didn't have the city like Atlanta did. So we picked Atlanta, and I found so the guy who sold our house down there had a friend up here, and we contacted her, and we'd made a couple trips up just to look at things and see what area we wanted to be in. And and I told her, I'm like, I'm not making a decision right now until that money's in the bank. But as soon as we closed on the house and I seen the money hit the account, first phone call was like, find me a house. We're on our way. We hit Disney on the way up for a couple of days, and then got up here and settled.
Yeah. Now, was it this house here?
No,
Okay.
we were in South Atlanta at the time in Stockbridge.
Okay.
So
and if you don't know either, Jason and I, not only are we friends, and we work together, but we're also neighbors, which is just a trifecta.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah.
Our daughters play softball together, and it's a lot of fun. So
and being up here is a godsend because it's just a different mentality of life. It's entrepreneurial.
It is.
Everything is driven towards success. And this end of the
opportunity to do it.
Yes.
So you're moving into low voltage, right? At what point did you say, you know what, I want to do this Blue Sky?
Well, I still had my corporation and stuff in Florida for my computers things. I never closed that. It kind of just goes, you can do that anywhere. So I did that, but here I immediately got into satellite dish installation, TVs. And then I did that for a year or so, and I grouped in with a few dealers, and they would sub out to you. And whoever gave me I was busy. I still stayed, we did good. And, I had a friend of mine, partner down in Fort Lauderdale, that I would still go down there for weeks at a time, and work for him. And when working for him for a week, gave me enough money to live for the month, which let me build up what I had here. So you got to hustle. And that was the one thing about South Florida, you hustle. That's when getting up here that, I was getting with dealers. I'm like, I gave this guy the equipment to go do that install, and that's 3 days ago. He still ain't showed up. And I'm like, what? I'm like, down there, it's the first guy that shows up gets it. So they gave me the more equipment. I remember being on a job and the guy showed up while I'm installing. And I'm like, he's like, well, what's going on? I'm like, well, they gave it to me because they said they gave it to you 3 days ago, and
and you weren't there.
They don't. They can't find you. Like, oh, I got busy. I'm like, no. You have an appointment. You make your appointment. So I've kept that mentality from. And it's
customer service.
It's served well.
So satellites, and then
computers, satellite, and then that started getting old because it was 6 days a week, 3 to 4 jobs a day. It just was a lot. So I started looking for something else, and I found a security contractor that was looking for somebody. So I didn't know the programming or anything, but I could install. And I knew how to do all that. So that's where it transitioned. I went into that, and then did that for a few years for him. And, and then ended up going for another company that I was a project manager for them, because we were doing hotels and, big projects. And which the hotels are what I brought on for that, and took with me when I left too. But it all transitioned into all that to after that, what got me and got me back. I did not want to go back to work for myself. I wanted to just be able to work, earn my paycheck, go home, done. The whole business hustle thing was exhausting. But I was with one of the guys I was working with them. We were both doing Oglethorpe University and working in their gym. And I started having to answer for the owners of the company. And at that point, I'm like, no, if I'm going to answer for somebody, I'm answering for myself. Okay. And, that mentality that I've learned too is I've passed on to, I'll never ask an employee. And I just actually had this conversation yesterday with 3 of my guys that say, I will never ask you to answer for me. If there's a problem, you have them call me, we'll resolve it. And there's been many times where I've said, I'm sorry. I dropped the ball on that one, or,
things
whatever.
Happen.
But I was like, I'll make it right. And we do. And that's what's built our reputation to be, what it is in the market. Now.
So you started Blue Sky when
2009.
2009.
So that was 4 years from when we left Florida to then got me the experience level I needed to go out on my own. That last company, they showed me how to do the programming. I actually got in and started once I got into one part of it, I realized, it all does the same thing. It's just a little bit differently. So, you just got to figure out that little difference, and you learn real quick that, you can do anything. You just got to read the instructions.
And Blue Sky Systems, for those who don't know, tell us a little bit.
We're an unrestricted low voltage contractor in Georgia. So in Georgia, there's 4 licenses for low voltage. I did the highest level. On the test, it was 9 extra questions. So why not? So I didn't want to be limited to whatever we could do. There's always certifications and stuff to go in different jurisdictions and things like that. But for the most part, we can handle everything. Fire alarms, burglar alarms, camera systems. What I was going to say.
So low voltage is a whole host of things.
It's anything under 50 volts. Which they just changed because of when LED lighting came into play. Okay. Believe it or not.
Which we were talking about a while back about how LED lighting is really going low voltage now.
It is. And our license criteria before was anything 90 volts or less. Okay. But because the LED lighting came in, and most of those are low voltage lighting, they had to adjust that for the electrical contractors to be able to do the lighting. On that. So there was a give and take on that. So, but now it's anything under 50 volts. With our license. But we can actually do electrical if it's connected into our equipment to operate our equipment. So in Georgia. Every state's different in their criteria.
But it's everything that is really starting to run houses now.
Houses, businesses, we and that's the one thing we try to concentrate on as a solution for our clients. We don't come in just to be able to do your cameras or just to be able to do your burglar alarm. It's anything within my license. We do it. We're even we do automated gates. We actually manufacture the gates. And we've grouped in with LiftMaster on that one as our preferred vendor, our preferred supplier for it. Only because there are technology advancements that they're doing and cost points.
Wow.
So with that, it's pretty cool because we can actually link those to the operators. And if anything happens with the operators, it actually relays that back through in notifications to us. Where so over the whole system, we're getting notification through the cloud. So I've always tried to stay at the forefront of any technology that's out. That way we're ahead of the game. And most of our competition is usually the bulk of it, I would say 5 to 6 years back. They're doing what they're used to doing. And we don't do that.
They get fat and happy, and you're staying out there, which I love working with you because you are out there and because you are, just driving the marketplace, and growing and doing some incredible stuff, which, that's the type of people like working with
Yeah.
as a coach because it makes it so much more fun.
Right.
You
right.
know?
Just like I know we had our plan for this year, and that was where I was telling you that, it's God in place, but my goal was to put on another technician at the end of March, another one at the end of June, for this year to scale up 4 more technicians and then ride that out for a little bit.
Yeah.
But through circumstance, we ended up putting an ad out, and we hired on 2 guys. The AV industry right now is at a lull, so there's a surplus of technicians for that.
Yeah.
And we were able to find a couple good guys.
Yeah.
And before the end of March, we've got 2 more coming on.
Yeah.
Ahead of schedule.
Yeah. We're blowing the plan out.
Yeah.
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 And put a plug in as well. You're still hiring, or at least taking.
We are stockpiling
resumes
and applications right now because previous to this situation, we ended up having about 50 to 60 applicants.
Yeah.
And we picked a couple out of that. But the previously our industry, there was a shortage.
Yeah.
There weren't enough to do it, and that's what, especially during COVID, that's what drove our industry prices up significantly.
Yeah.
I remember being, I think it was 2022, in the summer of 2022, we were a month and a half booked out. Okay. And there was no moving things up because there was no other companies to do it.
Yeah.
COVID going on and all that. But they ended up, we ended up raising our rates, but it even gotten at a point like that. I'm like, if you need to move us up and we're so exhausted, I'm like, you're going to have to pay emergency rates.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we doubled on emergency. It's double.
Yeah.
Whatever our trip charge and our hourly is, it's double to get me out there.
Yeah.
But we've actually kept that in play, but it's rare. It's just an after hours emergency situation, but on commercial applications, a gate may get hit or something and people can't get in the neighborhood, and we've got to get out there. Yeah. And it's not, I felt bad because I kind of felt like we were taking advantage, but when we really, that's the mindset in business where you're like, no, there's a need.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's a value to that need. Okay. And how are you going to extend yourself into that? I'm going to have to pay overtime. I've got the truck back on the road in those after hour time periods and rush hour traffic and all that. So you really had to, in the business mindset now, I've had to adjust to, okay, what are my rates and why? And I know we're working on that right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
On for our scaling. Because we're looking to scale up from where we're at.
Yeah. Speaking of which, so as a small business owner, what are the challenges you're facing these days?
Growth.
Yeah.
For us right now, there's positives and negatives to the growth. Okay. People think, well, you're growing, so you're making more money. Well, no, you're spending more money, and then there's that time period where you've got the bill and wait for that flow to come in.
Yeah.
So there's always, right now we're at that weird stage of cash crunch, but we're okay.
Yeah.
We're doing it. But I know that we're about over that hump.
Yeah.
For that, in order to get us into that flow.
Yeah.
There's that, personnel, like I was saying, trying to find that.
Yeah.
Vehicle resources, for that. The positive of it is that we've gotten to a place now where the manufacturers and distributors are coming to us.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even asking. I had 2 meetings this morning.
Yeah.
With a distributor and a manufacturer.
Yeah.
So, and the major manufacturers are noticing.
Yeah.
Only because we're doing it.
Yeah. Which I think is another cool thing with you is you are becoming very quickly the preferred provider for the manufacturers out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got
and not just here in Georgia. They're looking at wanting you to be.
Yep. We've got one right now we're partnering with that is gonna. That was one of the meetings this morning. How we're gonna do this. But it's very. we're starting off with Georgia. We're going to go southeast, and then we're going to look at where.
Yeah.
But it can very easily go nationwide.
Yeah.
And that's where it leads back to that first statement we had: is you got to be in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
And our conversation this morning was the fact of we are now in that right place at the right time, and this is a perfect opportunity for it, because the industry is changing.
Yeah.
The manufacturers are finding that the distribution model is becoming a thing of the past almost.
Yeah.
It's always going to be there because there's always those things. But a lot of the manufacturers are finding direct sources or a way to do the direct source where it's not direct with them. Yeah. And that's one of those things we're working out right now.
Yeah.
But it's going to be on a service level, to where we're working with the dealers in a closer, that, not to just jump around, I'm not trying to, but we're finding that personal touch needs to be not just with our customers of our end user customers, but also the dealers, also the distributors. From the time of the manufacturer forward, people are looking for that personal relationship.
Well, yeah, and I think the piece of it is, for a lot of industries out there, margins are getting so tight.
Right. That's exactly what it is.
And so they're looking at how can they optimize the manufacturing and getting their product to market in a much more economical way.
Right.
And one of the ways that they're doing that is, if we don't have this distributor who is, we're selling to and they're wholesaling out to somebody else, if we can, make a shift here, a paradigm shift, to where, with the way things are now, that they can drop ship stuff to you directly rather than going through a distributor, it improves their margins, it improves your margins, and you're at the point of really capturing.
And this isn't, part of this isn't isn't a new process.
Yeah.
It's kind of the retail store thing.
Mm-hmm.
The other side of it, though, is that personal ability.
Yeah.
Okay. And the other side that I'm finding, because these manufacturers are sending us out to service equipment that's already out there, because they can't, the dealer has went out of business or is no longer available, or they're not handling that product anymore, whatever that is. They know for us that we're doing it, and they send us out there, and because they know who we are in the area.
Yeah.
And when we do that, I find that the installations aren't subpar in the fact of the way the installation was done, but on the back end of it, where they didn't train the people in the software properly. They didn't use the proper setup procedures for the equipment.
Yeah.
So they weren't trained on it.
Yeah.
Okay. But they're grabbing it off the shelf at the distributor and selling it.
Yeah.
Okay. And installing it, because like everything does the same thing. No, well, you still have to set it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I have to come in and straighten all that up. And then on top of that, there's advanced features that are coming out on these products now, because they're able to be upgraded through firmware upgrades.
Yeah.
So one of the main products we use, I've been using it since 2018. I've got locations in 2018 that's able to do today's technology, because they've just been able to upgrade the firmware.
Upgrade it.
To be able to do that. So that's what I call the things that we try and move forward with are technology forward products.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're not stuck with that product with what it does right then.
Yeah.
You're going to have future feature capabilities for what comes then.
Yeah.
That's all. But with this new venture that we're looking to do, we're going to add that personal touch behind it, because the manufacturer is going to be referring those end user leads to us, which we're going to work with their existing dealer base to push those out to them.
Yep.
We're going to make sure we follow up with them. We're going to make sure when we send those out to those dealers, that those dealers are certified and know how to install the product properly.
Yeah.
And we're going to vet them. So that's another thing. As a manufacturer, you can't vet every dealer that comes in, and you don't know if they're licensed or not licensed. So we're going to make sure they're vetted. So that these referrals are going to go out to these dealers that are doing what they need to do to be a proper business.
Yeah.
That's been a huge part of our industry, is what we call the trunk slammer. Okay. Is an unlicensed contractor out there putting up security cameras just because they can put up security cameras and not able to, not licensed to do that.
Yeah. Having the customer service focus is just critical in any business.
And the manufacturers are struggling with that because they're trying to do the best they can to support the product, but they don't have the things in play.
They don't have the relationship.
Right.
Yeah.
And they don't have the means in play to train properly. A lot of them are trying to put online processes for that. But one of the things I've found with them, and I've told them, I'm like, every time I work real close with them, so this manufacturer, so I'm in there. They're luckily right in our backyard, so I'm in there all the time in their office. I know everybody in there, so for me, that's just a natural progression of selling their product.
Yeah.
But they also have ears. If you tell them something, they're going to work on
listening.
it. They listen to make it a better product.
Yeah.
But I also though hear after my conversations, because I asked, well, we're wanting to do this. Oh, this product's getting ready to do that.
Yeah.
But they don't put that out to know what's coming.
Yeah.
Okay. Or what the things are changing to.
Yeah.
So one thing I told them too was within this process, I want to do LinkedIn videos and social media processes to get out these new feature capabilities coming to push the product to know this is out there and for no more money than what you're already paying. So it's an exciting time for us in this. It's an exciting time for everybody because there's feature capabilities on security right now that are coming out that in the past you had to spend thousands and thousands of dollars to do, but now it's the cost of normal. The standard card pin pad access control system now for the same price as that, I'm doing palm vein recognition, facial recognition, along with the card and QR code and Bluetooth. It's all built into the same unit now. Now the one of those feature capabilities what I was talking about, which was cool, was I was in the meeting with the CEO. He's like, "Oh yeah, we're adding this in, but it's going to be a video intercom also because it's got a little screen." And I'm sitting here, I'm like, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, then that takes it to a whole nother level for entry. And I've already sold 2 projects on it with that, knowing the software's not there. And I just heard today the software's there. They're in beta testing for it right now, so they don't really want to push it out.
So it'll be a few months out.
He said about 1 to 2. But that's where I've been able to sell on these other projects because they're wanting that feature capability for doctors' offices and things like that.
So what is something, because we have other business owners, a lot of new businesses who like watch the show. With your experience, what's some guidance you'd give them? Somebody who's like wanting to, grow their business, because you certainly are growing.
You got to have passion. And you've got to have commitment. You got to have a love for what you're doing. If you're going to work every day and you're going to work, then I would suggest finding something else. It will be what it is for you, and it may pay your bills at the time, but it's not. This life is so short. You've got to find something you enjoy. Everything I've said where I've built off of, I had excitement in kind of what I was doing. And when it started getting old, I moved. The electrical, I moved. I just love the computers. I got into that. The computers started getting to a point where there was really no profit to be made on them anymore because the cost was so low. The margins were so much lower. So at that point, I moved into,
the satellite
the satellite, and just those natural transitions. And then you build on all that to do what you're going to do. For me, like I said, being in the right place at the right time in the right time periods. I feel it was huge because when I started with computers, it was when the 386s and 286, I could still get 8088s, which were people don't even want to look it up. There's more power in your cell phone right now than there was what was in actually the most expensive computer at the time. And the cell phone still costs about a third of what those were costing.
But if I were to put it in coaching terms, is passion. You have to have that passion. You have to have that vision. Right? You have to know why you do what you do.
Exactly.
If you don't have a vision for where you're wanting to go and what you're wanting to do, it's just going to become a job.
know your product.
Yeah.
That passion, and know your product. Know that product inside and out.
Yeah.
Okay. There's not a product that we carry that I myself don't know the full feature capabilities of. Okay. Because I'm not going to sell something to somebody and allow my technicians to go out and install it and figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll usually have it in our office, and I'll sit there and beat it up for a while before we introduce it.
Yeah.
Or I may have the perfect little project to introduce something into and try it. But if it's not right, I've got a backup.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And there's been times where we've had to pull it and put something else in.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not afraid of taking that leap, because that's what keeps us ahead.
Yeah.
And it keeps us ahead of the competition. And you can get tried or true, but you're not going to get the features.
Yeah. Well, and that kind of brings us full circle here. And, we start with asking what your dreams and treehouse and all that was as a kid. What are your dreams moving forward now? Where are you going? And
my coaching, believe it or not, my coaching has opened my eyes quite a bit to the fact of, okay, we're doing great with this. What's the next step?
Yeah.
Okay. But obviously scaling what we've got and getting it to a comfortable level. Yeah. Okay. I honestly don't want to be at a 20-30 technician company and like that. It's very hard at that point to give that personal touch to it. Yeah. You start getting disconnected, and that's not what I got in business for. Yeah. But within that too is looking at the next ventures. Sure. And that's where this manufacturer process is coming into play, of the things I really wanted to do, but on a new today's platform. Yeah. So that's going to be very, very fun. I feel I'm excited about it. Our meeting this morning made me even more excited about it, because we're starting to get it. Even the manufacturer at this point doesn't know what this is. Yeah. Okay. We don't know what it is. Yeah. We know there's a need. Yeah. Okay. And we know that there's something that needs to be done. Yeah. Okay. But we're both sitting here trying to figure out, okay, how do we make that happen where everybody's okay? Yeah. Okay. And it advances the industry. Yeah. Okay. It's going to become a new process that, that hasn't seen before. Yeah. And you're just taking the right steps right now to make that happen properly. Yeah.
Well, I look forward to being your coach. Yeah. And taking it there. And I'm excited about the growth that you're going through.
Yeah, it's been a little bit of a mess here initially, but but that's where you just go, okay. That's clothes are on the floor. We need to pick them up.
The reality is everybody I start coaching with, there's, one of the reasons why they start coaching is because there's a mess. Yeah. And okay.
We are aware that we got to a point where, we can't do this with the processes we've been doing. Yeah. So I've got to learn those new processes and the proper processes. And, that's where a coach comes in and lets you know from the outside, these are the processes you need to do. And, this is what we need to clean up. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And it doesn't happen overnight. No.
But it happens quicker than what people realize.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once we start to focus on it and put it in place, it actually starts to come together.
Yeah. And it's really helped tie the employees together and create that harmony that my wife, who's my partner, has been wanting with it. And I'm used to it. That was the one thing too, growing up in that electrical at the time, it was a family. Yeah. We had 20, 25 guys. Yeah. Everybody knew everybody with that. And even if you came from the outside, we quickly knew who they were. Yeah. And everybody jumped in and did their task without asking. Yeah. There was a job to do. You need to go over and do that. You need to go over and do that. And they just did it and knew how to do it. Yeah. And that's where we want to build that culture and that process into our own people. And it's becoming that. Yeah. And that's reassuring, because we've had turnover, and those people not necessarily, not that it just wasn't a fit for what we do. Because, it is what it is.
Well, I'm excited to be on this journey with you and building that culture and helping you to grow. And thank you for being with me here in our kind of treehouse, overlooking our other treehouse.
Yep. Eventually we'll be up there.
We're going to be up there soon. We're going to be up there soon. We're talking about it. We're getting things done, but we'll be there. So if you are a business owner and you are interested in, seeing your business grow, putting some culture in place, looking at this, even exploring your own vision and why you're in business, that's why I'm here. That's why I work with businesses, and reach out to me. I would be happy to just sit down with you and talk for an hour and help you to kind of put some things together to get your direction going. So let me know about that. Looking forward to future In The Treehouse sessions next Wednesday. Some exciting things will happen then. But until then, thank you again for being here.
Yeah,
and
my pleasure.
You all have a great day.